Hello YouTube! If I look slightly annoyed, it's because I have already filmed this 3 times, and by annoying misluck, my laptop keeps deleting them after they've filmed. Anyway, so, the latest issue of Batman Endgame just arrived. Yay! Slash A, as I'll be explaining later. I normally talk about the cover, but I've got the 75 Years of the Flash variant cover. I have no idea why I keep getting the variant covers. Anyway, so there's no relation to the story, so there's no point talking about it. Quite a bit happens in this book, though it's hard to sort of talk about in terms of a strict progression. We've got Jokerized Jim Gordon, which is very interesting and very creepy. Again, art by Greg Capullo is fantastic in this issue. I know I complained about his very art in the first issue, but it's brilliant here. Absolutely flawless. There's a lot of very interesting things going on. Generally, one of the things I've complained about now 3 times because of this, I'm sick of complaining about the Jokerized people in Gotham remind me of zombies. They don't look like people, they look like zombies. They're supposed to be people who have been made angrier, but they look like zombies. They look dead. Look at this swimming guy. He freaking looks dead. They look like zombies, and zombies are being really overused in film and in television at the moment. There was that World War Z film that came out a little while ago. I didn't watch that. There's been the Walking Dead series been very popular. There's that Z Nation. I haven't watched that, but that's about zombies that came out only just a little while ago. Apparently it's got DJ Qualls in it, so I'm considering watching it because DJ Qualls is awesome. Anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of sick of zombies. They're everywhere. They're like, a couple of years ago, vampires were everywhere, which I completely blame on the Twilight films. Anyway, once we get past that, there's some very interesting stuff happening. I mean, Batman's been talking to Birdwatcher about how it looks like everything he's been doing is going to come to an end because, well, this is what Birdwatcher is saying anyway, because Joker knows who he is, and as it turns out, the Joker is completely invincible. So how on earth is he going to stop? Is he going to be able to continue to be Batman when the Joker will always be able to constantly go for him, and he knows where he is, and he knows who he is, and he knows everything? So it's really interesting. I mean, the Joker's constantly saying, "Don't worry about." Batman. Is constantly saying, "Don't worry about me," and like, he's constantly sort of basically saying to Birdwatcher, "Oh, stop worrying. I'm fine. I'm Batman. I can handle anything because I'm Batman." But because he's really not. I don't know. It's like he's not quite able to comprehend. It's not that he's able to comprehend it's over. It's that he's not willing to comprehend that it's over. He's not willing to acknowledge that he might not be able to keep being Batman anymore. But anyway, there's an awesome scene where he gets in a tank. Oh goodness, that's awesome. But my goodness, there is a lot of great stuff in this. He visits Crazy Quilt. Yeah, Crazy Quilt's in this. When on earth did we last hear about him? I don't know, and I genuinely don't care. But Crazy Quilt's in this, and because Batman realizes that he's the only person who could have synthesized the stuff in this virus, which, as it turns out, I might have said this or not, I'm genuinely not sure what I have and haven't said in this review, because this is the 3rd time I've filmed it. So sorry about that. As it turns out, as Birdwatcher was telling him, the chemicals in the virus and in the Joker's blood are very similar to chemicals in the Lazarus pit, and that's why the Joker is pretty well invincible, because he's got these chemicals in him which allow him to heal pretty well instantaneously after anything, because as it was said earlier on, when turns out when Gordon shot him, he hit him in the neck and splattered through the Joker's arteries. I thought he was hit in the chest, but whatever. So the Joker should have died, but his own internal chemistry stopped him from doing so. And Crazy Quilt, as it turns out, didn't make these chemicals. He just didn't. Crazy Quilt's just as intrigued as Batman is, and he'd been doing tons of research on these chemicals, and he'd actually been taking samples from the Joker. He'd been working with the Joker, and he's basically worked out that these chemicals that are in the Joker, which he calls Dionysium, are the same thing that gave Vandal Savage, as it turns out in the New 52 continuity, it's the same thing that gave Vandal Savage his immortality, and a sort of a version of this is used in the Lazarus pit. And there's some very interesting stuff when you think about it, because the Joker's used a sort of an inverted version of this Dionysium in the virus that he's been spreading. So the thing is, if this is an inverted version, it's basically, if it gives him the ability to be invulnerable, surely it makes these people more vulnerable to any kind of attack. So theoretically, a small amount of damage should kill any of them. There's some really dark potential here. But there's more than just that, because as he's saying, as Crazy Quilt's saying, basically anyone who is affected theoretically should not be able to be healed. It's fantastic. It's utterly fantastic. It's utterly dark. It's pretty well sparking the end of Gotham. This is what I was hoping for. It's so tantalizingly dark and got such fantastic potential in it. I mean, you're reading it and you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is just getting better and better. But at the same time, you're also reading this thinking, can you please do something else? Because you have the same, it's just, most of this comic book is just people talking. There's very little action aside from the tank scene and the awesome scene where Jim Gordon has an axe. Jokerized Jim Gordon has an axe. I mean, the Joker isn't even in Endgame Part 4, which I thought was kind of annoying, since the previous issue he said, hello Bruce, and he knows who he is. But there's a lot more interesting stuff going on, because they're basically saying, if he does contain the Dionysium, and that's what's enhanced his biology, when did he get the Dionysium? And Julia and that kid whose name I genuinely do not know, who Batman rescued earlier, I'm assuming he has been in a previous issue, since Batman knew his name. What was his name? La 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 la. La, 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 la. Duke, that's his name. Yeah, so they sort of scroll through all these photos of Gotham and various nearby localities throughout history, and they're finding the Joker in all of these pictures. So it looks like the Joker is basically 200 years old. Perhaps even more. Because Julia's saying if it is a trick, it's the best doctoring job I've seen, is what she said. There's a fantastic death scene for a certain character. I won't give away the panels here because they're so awesome. You have to see them for yourself. There's a lot that goes on here, a lot. And the and Batman has to resort to talking to somebody else. We also get the last part of the well, not the last part. I think this is the second to last part or something of the Pale Man story arc going on at the same time. Unfortunately, this is drawn by Sam Keith. You may be thinking, I know that name, don't I? Yes, you do. He is the man who is completely unable to draw a human's body in any kind of realistic shape at all. You are probably thinking, what did he draw that I might have heard of that was an absolute travesty, in part because of his talentless art? No, that was mean. Sorry, not talentless. I'll say very, very bizarre style. That's right, Batman Through the Looking Glass. Yes, they decided after his bizarre, long-necked, spiky-faced Batman Through the Looking Glass completely... Well, they decided after that they would use Sam Keith to draw a part of the Pale Man story arc. And I'm not happy about this. You can see some of his art here. It's weird, really. It's weird, but not in a good way. Everything's pointy and long, and I mean, look at that. Actually, this isn't his worst work. This is very far from his worst work. If you want to see his worst work, look at Batman Through the Looking Glass. But I mean, just look at this random Jokerized tramp. He's got a freakishly thick neck which just merges with his torso without any shoulders. But I mean, it would be fine if this style of artwork matched with the type of story that they're being told. I mean, generally, that's what the Pale Man arcs have been doing. They've been sort of, each issue has been changing the artist to get a style that matches the tone of the story. But Keith's doesn't. I mean, if they were doing a sort of Wonderland story, you could argue that because of the bizarre nature of Through the Looking Glass, it was all sort of weird, interconnected worlds and things, that art style kind of suited. But this is a military story about sort of people being trained to be new Batmen, an army of Batmen, and this style of artwork really does not go with that kind of story. Also, apparently his machine gun is a Buddhist. Sorry, that was funny in my head. Okay, right. Yeah. I'm sorry, Sam Keith. I really, really don't like your artwork. But I do like where that Tinian the Fourth's writing. I love Tinian the Fourth's writing, and where this is going. It's getting awesome because they're Marthreen, whatever her name is, the doctor, the Arkham, is she a nurse or whatever? She's being taken to the heart of Gotham, and it's like they're going into this place where it'll be revealed which of the stories is the true one. I mean, I am kind of disappointed, really, in this story. Not only because of the artwork, but also because with all the other issues, I'm not sure if I've already said this or not, because I've filmed this 3 times, so I'm so sorry if I'm saying the same thing over and over again. In the other issues, there was always some kind of potential that the story told was the true one, and thus we were still sort of ambiguous. It was still ambiguous about which of the characters was going to die and which were going to live, because only one of them knows the true story, so that's the only one that the Joker's going to be keeping alive. In this one, we know that the story's not true because of the army of Batmen. So we know that this guy saying it is going to die. Also, the guy who's saying it is the black guy, so some could argue that's kind of racist, that the black guy's gonna die. But we know it, so because we know what's going to happen to this character, there's kind of less suspense, there's kind of less, oh my goodness, what's gonna happen? We know he's gonna die. So there's less mystery, there's less intrigue about what's going to happen. And that's not really good. I mean, I get that Tinian the Fourth was trying to do something different, but I mean, I said it's very well written, but it's well written with a problem, and the problem does override that a little bit. So yeah, all in all, it's got some very good stuff and some very stuff. And some very why on earth did you use Sam Keith stuff. So that's that. I can understand some people might like Sam Keith's style. It's just my taste. Okay, there. That is Endgame Part 4. Soon I shall be doing Part 5, whenever that comes out. Cheerio, YouTube. Remember to press subscribe. You want to. Don't you? Bye.